my name's Miranda, and I'm interviewing my dad today to go over his view of his Appalachian grow-up experience. You can introduce yourself.
Okay, my name is Kevin Lee Barker. Born and raised here in Kentucky. Born in Moorhead, Kentucky. St. Clair Hospital.
Well, you didn't grow up in a barn. You didn't get raised in a barn, as people think.
Contrary to that, yep. A lot of views on it right there. We get a lot of criticism. Everybody in the world seems to think that being hillbilly means you're buck-toothed, stupid, inbred. That's not the case.
Okay, Dad, who were your parents?
Harlan and Sherlyn Barker.
And they call my mama, Charlene, Dee Dee, for short. Okay. How would you describe your childhood, your siblings?
My childhood was the typical farm kid. You know, we worked in the fields and stuff through the day. Played a lot in the evenings. It wouldn't be nothing. There's our chickens right now. We always had animals around. Chickens, cows, goats and such. But yeah, we just done a lot of playing in the woods, and that's where we learned a lot of what it's about being a hillbilly, I guess you could say, living in the woods and such.
How many siblings did you have?
I had there was 5 of us all together, and it was 4 boys, girl, and yeah, we're all real close.
Did your parents work? What was their line of work?
My dad started out working in a recap shop making tires, and he switched from that to building houses, and we've been building houses, Lord of mercy, all of us for over 50 years. That seemed to be the family trade, building houses.
What about Mama?
Mama, she stayed at home taking care of us kids and seeing to the gardens and such, making sure that they was doing good so that we could can in the fall and have food to get through the winter with. A lot of times Dad would even be out of country building homes and stuff over there, especially disaster areas. One winter he was gone in the Virgin Islands, and he was gone the whole winter. We never saw him. But yeah, stayed busy a lot.
So you would say Papa was the main source of income?
Yes, he was.
Okay. Describe any games you played growing up. Any unique ones that you think kids don't really play nowadays?
We played in the dirt a lot, digging, just getting dirty, running through the woods, playing cowboy and Indians like most kids in our time. Wasn't a whole lot of money to be spent on toys and stuff like that right there, so we learned how to be creative and make our own toys and stuff. Papaw, he was a big hand in being the I guess you say father figure at the house when Dad was gone, and he taught us a lot of stuff, how to take and be creative and make something out of nothing, and that is instilled into all of us today.
Your Papa?
Yeah.
What was his name?
Roy Bryant, rest his soul. He's passed now, and he was kind of my go-to guy with the important questions of growing up and stuff.
Okay. That would explain in the family if we had anyone pass away. How did it affect you?
Oh, pretty deeply. I miss him even still yet today.
Growing up, what were some old-timey things you ate that people that aren't from around here would think is weird or just unusual?
We eat a lot of salt pork, soup beans, fried taters, green beans, depend on if it was a holiday or not. We have holidays just like everybody else. We eat turkey for Thanksgiving and ham for Christmas. But a lot of that stuff we raised ourselves. We didn't go to the grocery store and get that stuff unless we was just out of it.
Any effects that you kind of noticed when you ate, like sick stomach, high blood pressure?
No, we didn't know any of that right there until a doctor told us, hey, you don't need to be eating this and that. And, most of us feels the same way, that if you listen to them, you'll just be eating out of your front lawn. Because the time they get done with what you can't eat, there's nothing left except grass, pretty much. But yeah, we didn't know anything about high blood pressure, nothing like it right there. We had it, and it tastes good, and we eat it. It sustained us.
Would you think doctors back then are completely different than now?
Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
When did you move out of your parents' home?
I moved out of my parents' home when I was 19. That was the same year I got married. Very traditional in a lot of our ways and things, and I guess that.
Do you think that people from not around here would view that as like odd? Do you think they're very traditional and have the same beliefs as us Appalachian people? You don't know? Did you go to church growing up?
Yes, we did. We went, started at Grand Hill Free Will Baptist. Went there for several years, and then we started going to church just right down the road from us here, a little church called Mountaintop Chapel. And we've been there pretty much ever since.
Speaking of it being down the road, would you think that it's normal for families to kind of, what we did, build a circle around everybody living close?
Oh yeah, the sense of family and community is very strong. It's something that's instilled into you as a young child. There's a sense of pride in being able to take and help your neighbor and your fellow man. A lot of that right there is we fail as humans today. It's all about me and the selfishness of what I can get out of the deal versus what my neighbor might need. But yeah.
When we watched a video about a sludge happening, forgot what it was called, my mind went blank, but they talked about how they seen, the effects of how they would go to their neighbors and not even have to ask anything. They would just go in and be welcome. Like if they need to borrow something, they wouldn't ask, they would just go on. It was like a family community.
You need something. If I had it, then you're more than welcome to it, because next time it might be me in those people's shoes. We do that a lot, still yet today. If there's a neighbor that loses their home, especially in wintertime, due to fire or whatever, it's the duty of the community and fellow humans to band together and help hold one another up, because like I say, tomorrow it might be you that's the one that needs help.
How old were you when you got married?
I was 19 years old.
Do you think that's a young age considering nowadays, or do you think it's quite normal?
No, that's about the right age. I would recommend that we stick more traditional and wait about getting married until one has a job established and two has a home to even go to. It's not good to have more than one families under a household. It's tough. It really is. It's tough. So yeah, I would recommend that young people would wait until they get their ducks in order, so to speak, before they take and make that commitment, because it's a lifetime commitment. truly is.
Do you think a lot of people around here share the same beliefs as you about tradition?
Oh yes, yeah, I sure do.
We're still playing on, guys.
Did you ever experience any code switching where you have to hide your accent?
I do that every day. When I'm going into a classroom that a professor is teaching, if you don't speak clean and proper and you want to take and hide your accent, otherwise you're viewed as dumb. Oh, he doesn't have a degree, so I don't want to talk to you. You stay away from me. Keep your distance. So yeah, there's laws against discrimination. That laws of the land is supposed to be there to protect you, but human nature discriminates the second you start speaking. We can't help it. It's just human nature.
So, talking about your education, how far did you get into your education?
I went through high school. I went to carpentry school, learned my trade, and studied the arts some as I come through high school. That's about I learn every day on the job. There's always something, just every day of life that God gives us. You're constantly learning something new, even though that you don't even realize it. You're learning something new every day.
Would you trade your homeland for anything? I know you live on a farm, but there's a lot of people that we call city slickers that are quite rude to us.
No, I wouldn't trade nothing for this. I gotta have my heels. And to run in to see, no, I wouldn't trade nothing for it. When we were very young, we would go up into Ohio and stay a couple weeks to a month with our cousins and such. And no, I was miserable the whole time. Couldn't wait to get back. And when I got back, it just seemed like I was gone for years. It's heartbreaking until you get back home. Gotta have these heels.
What does family mean to you?
Oh gosh, that's a complicated question. It's a powerful question. Family is everything.
A lot of people, most families aren't as close as they are with ours. I've noticed going to a community college, I've noticed that a lot of families aren't as close as ours. How do you feel about that?
Yeah, that's sad. I've witnessed that myself growing up, and not being raised in the hills, close knit. It's a sad thing to see, but it's true. Humanity can be cruel sometimes. People are selfish, even to their own children. On graduation day, for an example, I witnessed one of my classmates. We walked across the stage, we got our diplomas, and as we was walking to our cars to go home, I looked over at one of my friends that I went through high school together with, and his mom and dad set briefcases down in front of him, patted him on the back, and turned and walked to the car and left him standing there. He graduated, so now he was on his own. I watched him struggle for a year being homeless, and then he disappeared for a few years, and then he turned back up in the Olive Hill community. He was never the same. Never the same.
Do you or have you ever used the terms kin when speaking about family?
Oh, every day. Every day. That's just the way we take and view, and our kin is how we recognize them. Just found out that a young lady in the housekeeping department at the school that I work at, she is my kin. I never knew that. Small world.
Have you ever experienced something where someone's like, oh, I can tell you're from Carter County by the way you're just talking to them?
Oh yeah, all the time. And sometimes that's a good thing, sometimes it's not a good thing. And I try to take and hide my accent. Even now, talking to you folks, I'm not expressing myself completely honest. It's just one of those views that you learn to hide such things, and being raised with more southern roots, you folks from the south, we know how to say y'all, and we mean what we say when we say it.
Well, is there anything you want to tell the people or want them to remember you by in this interview? About how you would defer yourself as an Appalachian from people that view us differently? How to cope with it?
It's tough. Take life one day at a time. Just one day at a time. And that helps. Set yourself a goal for that day and stay with it till you get it accomplished. And don't necessarily pay attention to what someone else thinks of you. That's where a lot of people take and get in trouble. I see girls, they'll starve themselves to death and we'll be burying them because they view themselves as being overweight and stuff, and that they're anorexic and don't know it, and starve themselves to death, and we're putting them in the ground because, you know, some magazine says you're overweight, and they ain't 60 pounds soaking wet. Young men, they'll take and just throw their hands up and quit out of disgust because they can't find a job, even though they have the skills and talents to where they can do anything. You know, that's where the term jack of all trades comes in. Most hillbillies are like it. We build things out of necessity and we repair it when it's broken. And we learn that through the great school of life with our parents and our grandparents. But no, just take it one day at a time, and don't let what someone else says how you should live or think or something other. That's where you get in trouble. That's where you get in trouble. And family comes first.
Nowadays, it's hard to even find a job without a degree. I know you got lucky because when you was born, and back then, you know, it was easy to, I mean, you said you built houses, you worked so many places.
Yeah, I never stopped looking for something better. I was committed to the job at hand, the one that I was working with, but I was always looking for something better because I had children, and that responsibility demanded that I always did and strive for something better for you all. I live and work in the dirt most of the time, and create things out of nothing, but I wanted something better for you all. I wanted a better life, something easier. Right now, I'm mending a hurt back, and I can't tell you how many times I've hurt it, and hopefully this isn't the last time that that I can take and bounce back from this, because you only have so many chances. You hurt it enough, you might not get a second chance to get back. But I didn't want that for you all. I didn't want you in the ditches with a mattock and a shovel, trying to take and scratch out a living. But at the same time, I didn't want you to go to school and get in debt $100,000, $200,000 with hopes that there would be a job there when you get out. I would hope that there would be a job for you before you get out, and that way you can pay that debt off. The costs of living is getting out of control. It is. It's just wretch, almost insanity how high things are getting. When you go to the doctor, a lot of people around here refuse to go to the doctor because their wages can't compete with the doctor's wages. When I make, $10 and $12 an hour, and you've got a doctor that's making over $100 an hour, it don't take long to where the bill is more than what you can pay, especially when you have children to feed. and utilities that will not seem to stay where they need to be. They're always going higher and higher for no reason. Cost of gas. But the real issue is families have to eat at the end of the day. Children have to eat. Therefore, we let ourselves go. You got people in white suits says, oh, caregivers shouldn't take and let yourself go. You can't have your cake and eat it too. And if you feel about your children the way most people do, they're going to come first.
Which brings us back to Appalachians are really family close.
Yeah.
In an article in class by Amy Clark, she mentioned that a lot of people view Appalachians as a lot of poverty, drug addicts, alcoholics, and they kind of seem to think that if your parents are alcoholics, it kind of gets spread on to your kids. If your parents are bad people, it gets spread on to your kids, and those people will be just like that. How do you think about that?
That right there is about 50-50. It don't help the raising of your kids when you got a bottle of beer or whiskey in your hands all the time. It's a bad witness. It don't help. But let's just face it. A lot of people are escaping to the bottle and to the drugs and stuff, just as what I just said, an escape. Life's tough, and it's not fair. So if you have parents that's trying to help you better yourself by sending you to school, do your part. Do your part and honor your mom and dad for the sacrifices that they have made. And do your best. But at the same time, remember, just do your best. If your best ain't good enough, come back home with pride and honor that, hey, I tried. Now let's try something different. Don't give up and fall prey to the old hangman's noose. There's so many children. I just saw a 10-year-old little girl hung herself and committed suicide. For what? She's 10 years old. She shouldn't have to know about such stuff as the poverty and how hard life is and stuff. That child should be playing with her Barbies, not thinking about putting a noose around her neck because her belly's hungry or her mom and dad's beating on her or something other like it right there. But, yeah, it's tough. It's tough all the way around. Being hillbilly is a hard way of life, but it's a good way. And there's a lot of honor in it if you know what you're doing. City slickers right now, if the crap would hit the fan, they'd starve to death in an acorn forest. Food all around them, but starve to death. The hillbillies, so-called ingrades, they're the ones who know how to feed themselves because Papa and Grandma instilled that into them. They went through the Depression. They know how to take care of themselves. All I see today out of most of our society, especially our young people, is the game. The game. It's all about the game. That game ain't going to put food in your belly. And if you want something, you got to get out there and you got to earn it. Dig deep and earn it. But that's pretty much what it truly means to be Appalachian or hillbilly, if that's what you want to call it. I never knew anything different. Anything that I wanted anyway.
Do you think people's views that aren't Appalachian, do you think they affect us that are?
Oh yeah. Their views and policies and stuff, they get rich off of the backs of people that know how to work in the dirt with grit. Hillbilly, they hate us till they need us. It's like being an artist. The world hates you until they need you. And then they love you until they're done with you.
What about your clothes, Dad? Have you ever had judgment because, like you said, a lot of families, you know, they didn't have a lot of money, so they couldn't afford the best clothes. So when you was going through school and even now, do you get a lot of judgment on your style?
Sure. Well, we as simple people, we buy clothes that's durable. Summertime, you want them lightweight uh, so they can breathe because it gets hot. You sweat. Wintertime, you want them a little bit thicker because it's cold. And you're out there 10, 12 hours a day wallering around in the mud or in the snow, in the winds, hanging from telephone poles. God bless the people that work for AEP and your utility services. They're out there hanging from a pole in the blistering wind. I've seen it so cold outside, it did look blue outside. It was pink. There was shades of pink everywhere. It was in the single digits. And I thought to myself, my God, it is cold. What am I doing? Oh, that's right. I got a family to feed. I got to get to work. And I went to work. And I suffered it to put food on the table. That's what it's like to be hillbilly. And be a family man.
I remember earlier you was saying how, based off of your religion and stuff, people kind of get you mixed up with the Amish.
Yes, they do. I get tickled at them all the time. They, you know, I get to talking about, you know, things I do on the farm and stuff, and just the way I talk in general, and my family upbringing, ancestry and stuff, and that's one of the things that's brought up all the time. You Amish? No, I ain't Amish. I'm hillbilly. I'm a farmer. But yeah, used to ask that question a lot.
Well, I think we've just about covered everything that we really need to cover, so thank you for your time, and
You're welcome.
I think that does it, everything.
All righty.